What if I told you there's a single, simple principle that explains, well, everything? From the endless scroll on your phone to the way your brain literally creates your reality, all the way up to the structure of the universe itself. In this explainer, we're diving into a really radical idea that reality isn't a place, it's a process built from simple, repeating feedback loops.
Okay, so let's start with something we all know way too well, the algorithmic feed. That endless stream of content on your phone that somehow seems to know you better than you know yourself.
And this quote right here, it just nails it. It gets to the heart of a really crucial shift in how we should think about these systems. They aren't just passive matchmakers, showing you things you might like. They are active players in a feedback cycle that is slowly but surely shaping what you will like.
It all happens in this simple five-step dance, over and over again, thousands of times a day. You do something, you scroll, you pause, and the platform sees it, it encodes it. Then it updates its model of you, serves you the next thing, and slowly, you start to adapt to what it's showing you. The loop gets tighter and tighter, learning your preferences faster than you can even figure them out yourself. It's building a little reality tunnel just for you.
But here's where it gets really wild. That little loop on your phone, that's just one tiny version of a universal formula. According to the source material for this explainer, it's the secret recipe for how everything, and I mean everything, comes into being.
And here it is, the core thesis of this entire piece, boiled down to a single powerful idea. This simple-looking formula is proposed to be the engine of emergence everywhere, from a tiny subatomic particle all the way up to a massive social movement. So let's break it down.
So on one side, you have infinite potential. That's basically all the raw, messy, chaotic stuff out there. It's randomness, it's noise, it's every possible outcome you can imagine. And on the other side, you have recursive filters. These are the feedback loops. They catch certain outputs, they feed them back in as inputs, and they stabilize them, compressing all that chaos into something coherent and stable. Okay, I know that might sound a little out there. So let's bring it back down to earth with a brilliant analogy from the source: facial recognition. How on earth does a machine turn a messy, chaotic image into a definite identity? Well, first, you've got the infinite potential. A raw image is just thousands and thousands of pixels of noise. It's just chaotic variations in light and color and shadow. It could be literally anything. And then, bam, the recursive filter kicks in. The algorithm loops through that data over and over, suppressing the noise and amplifying the stable patterns until it distills all that visual chaos into this: a tiny, stable identity signature of just 512 bytes. All that energy becomes a tiny, focused piece of information. And this right here is the central rule. This is the mantra. This is how order gets cooked up from chaos, everywhere and always. Feedback takes all that surprising, random energy and it just constrains it until it becomes stable, predictable information. So if that's the universal rule, then it has to apply to the most complex machine we know of, right? The human brain. And you guessed it, it absolutely does. Your brain is running on the exact same principle. We have this common sense idea that our senses work like a camera, just passively recording whatever is out there. But the science of predictive coding shows that the complete opposite is true. Your brain is actively predicting the world. It's constantly running a simulation of what it expects to happen next. Here's basically how it works. Your brain's higher levels are constantly sending predictions down. I expect to feel the floor under my feet. I expect to hear this particular sound. Your senses, they only send information up when reality doesn't match that prediction. It's an error signal. So you don't really perceive the world. You perceive your own prediction errors. And this whole prediction game, it is insanely expensive, energetically speaking. Your brain is a tiny part of your body's weight, but it is a massive energy hog. It burns through 20% of your calories, mostly just to process surprise. As the source puts it, every thought you have is basically an energy bill for a prediction that failed. And if you think this is just some abstract theory, you've got to check out the Ames room illusion. It is the perfect proof. We see this totally warped, bizarre room as perfectly rectangular because our brain's prediction that rooms are rectangular is so powerful it literally overwrites the raw data coming in from our eyes. It's wild. Okay, so we've got the algorithm and we've got the brain. But how do we scale this up? How do you go from a single person's prediction machine to the massive, shared predictive loops that we call culture? How do billions of us get in sync?
The source has this amazing term for it, cloudware. Think of things like language or social norms or rituals as a kind of distributed software. It's a shared predictive code that aligns all of our individual internal models of the world so we can cooperate. And this software gets installed directly onto our hardware, our bodies. A norm, like saying thank you, starts as just a repeatable pattern, but then it gets paired with a value, that good feeling, that little oxytocin rush you get from social approval. Suddenly, the abstract rule becomes a physical, felt reality inside your body. And if you look back through history, you can actually see how the control of these master loops has shifted. Priests and kings used slow, powerful rituals to sync everybody up. Then elites used textbooks and national laws. Then financiers used market signals. But today, for the very first time, the ones controlling the loops aren't human anymore. They're algorithms, synchronizing our attention automatically and instantly. And this brings us to the really crucial point, the whole shebang. What happens when the speed of these feedback loops goes from human speed, like rituals and books, to machine speed? The time between our actions and their consequences, you could call it feedback latency. It has collapsed to almost nothing. In the feudal era, feedback on your actions might take a year to get back to you. In the industrial era, maybe a month. In our digital era, it's a millisecond. It's instant. This creates a condition the source calls emergence debt. It's like this hidden tax on our collective attention. It's the cultural fatigue, the anxiety, the burnout we all feel from trying to keep up with feedback loops that are just running way too fast for our human brains to process. And the end result of that debt? Our predictive models of the world get brittle. They get rigid. When feedback is instant and perfectly tailored to you, there's no room for error, which means there's no room for learning. Anything that contradicts your model just gets filtered out as noise. Think about echo chambers. Think about political polarization. This is the mechanism. The loop stops adapting. So this all leads us to one final, pretty mind-bending question. We've built these loops, and now it's pretty clear they are building us. But what happens when these loops become self-aware, when they start to observe and redesign themselves? At that point, is reality still just emerging on its own, or is it being consciously designed?